I am Hopfin, and I'm joined in the commentary booth by Antidale. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. Excited to see this match of one-on-one Gauntlet participants, see what they do, who gets to 2-1, and who's starting to kind of fight for their tournament life. Is there anything you're looking forward to tonight?
Well, let's see. We got a Sid start, so I'm hoping that proves to be an interesting start, and that we just don't dump the old fool. You know, like we would with Atella, let's be honest.
Yeah, I kind of like a Sid start. Hopefully we get a decent weapon for him, maybe an Ogre Axe or a Rune Axe or even his Earth Hammer. And they can kind of just start going straight at the seed rather than having to do a lot of shopping to kind of get their thing.
Yeah, we'll see how important that kind of item selection might be as we get into seeing what the objectives will be. Determine if we're going to have to face some rather gnarly bosses, or if it decides to play nice for us tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure the runners would be looking forward to a lot of open, free checks. Maybe have to do Antlion Cave or do Ordeals, stuff that's pretty easy on the Overworld. Although that's always a little terrifying if you hit go mode, 20 minutes in and then have to figure out how to grind.
Yeah. So yeah, as you mentioned, these runners are all 1-1 so far. Based on how this whole Swiss round is set up, you're really pushing for that 3-2 record at minimum. So a loss this week really kind of putting you in a danger zone.
Yeah, going 3-2 guarantees you at least a shot at playing matches into the brackets. So if you go 1-2, now you have to win your next two in order to guarantee yourself that chance to be able to play into the brackets. And of course, the bracket flag sets are a little bit different. It'll be interesting when we get there, but we have a couple more weeks, so we won't go into really any detail about the changes that will come.
Yeah, for now we're just waiting for the countdown to get reflected on the screen and we can get things rolling.
Yeah, and they will be rolling on the same flags we've been doing these last 2.5 weeks or so. There'll be T standard, F standard, so there's shops get a little bit better behind key items. You might be able to find sirens and hourglasses or coffins there. In general, you'll be able to find a good but not great weapon or armor for everybody. T standard, you'll also find some pretty decent stuff, nothing game breaking in normal chests. Trap chests could get you, depending on their location, some decent probability of very high level gear. Then we'll have to go to the key items will be at the main summon spots and on the moon.
Yeah, but of course, no matter what the location is, you're not finding adamant armor. So we can get good, but not game breaking necessarily. You're gonna have to break the game in other ways. Is the point?
Yeah, and hopefully the game doesn't break them, putting that alt Gauntlet flag, which is one of the new 4.0 flags in Free Enterprise, where we take 5 random encounters from the surrounding area or kind of the surrounding level of the boss and give them and have them fight there. It looks like we start with a Sid and a Cecil. And Nasura hands us a twin harp. How do you feel about that?
I hope we hear music very soon.
Indeed, and with the two melee characters, they're not going to be too afraid of that very high magic defense spot. Assuming they just get a few levels and maybe transform that Cecil from a Death Knight to a Paladin.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're starting off with no white magic at all, so you're going to have to make use of that starter kit when it comes to healing if you run into anything remotely gnarly. As for our objective set, we have to, well, speaking of gnarly, fight Golbez, along with getting Tella, defeating Waterhag, returning the pan. Pretty good mix.
Yeah, it looks like there's also Value in Cave Bahamut too, so they'll have to go to the moon, they'll have to go underground. We'll need, ooh, and there's a D-Mist guarding Rydia. I would definitely want to prioritize that location when I had enough over damage to do the second boss there.
Yeah, that Cave Bahamut requirement means we might stumble upon the pass and you'll love to see it, but we're gonna have to hit the moon surface regardless. But 2 boss hunt objectives, that's a bit rough.
Yeah, it could be. We definitely, there's a lot of places where you can find them easily. I'm sure the runners are hoping to run into at least one of them on the way to turn Sesson to Paladin. I think we've seen just our rune axe picked up at the back of Baron, and I thought I saw slippery42 have an Earth Hammer as well. So that Sid's going to be very well equipped.
Yep, there is an Earth Hammer. DemonRHK holding on to it, debating. You know what? Get rid of it, I guess. If you're only expecting to have one Sid, and you want to use the rune axe instead, it ends up not being very valuable.
Yeah, I usually would like to keep it around for as long as I haven't found Mylon Z, because it does give you some extra damage against that boss, since he is weak to fire. And there's a Valvalis in the Mist Cave. We're going to avoid.
Yeah, and like you said, the Earth Hammer is Fire Elemental. We don't know why either. You would think it would be Earth Elemental, considering it's the Earth Hammer, but whatever.
Yeah, sometimes the whys and ways of Final Fantasy IV are a little bit mysterious to everyone. It's like finding some life potions, silk webs, and ether 2s in that path shop in Troya. That's a very nice shop.
Yeah, love to stock up on those. Those, really, Star Veils and Hourglasses. When you find those, you're in business with your shopping, because that's going to help you get through a bunch of the trickier boss fights.
Yeah, especially with that Golbez they'll have to do. It'll be very nice if they can get that Rydia sprung from the inn, hiding behind D-Mist, and get her up to level where maybe she knows Piggy. Makes it very easy to kind of cheese Golbez when you have those Star Veils in hand also. And up on Hods, we have a Cane guarded by a Lunar Sparkle. That'll be very nice too. Be able to have Sid have the Earth Hammer and Cane with the Rune Axe.
Yeah, I think Demon is going to regret selling their Earth Hammer, potentially, once they do the Hobbs climb. Or, you put something else on Cane and feel good about it. Cane is pretty versatile with weapon choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sid's normal hammer, wooden hammer, will do enough damage for you if you prefer to prioritize Cane. This Pale Dim going down very easily for slippery42. Gets to fully recruit Cane to his party.
Yep, early slot and a boss that really the difficulty is more in its counter script. Just don't do anything elemental to Pale Dim. Just don't do it.
Yeah, and don't cast summons on him. And
don't cast summons.
Yeah, for sure, because that Quake will not be fine. But Frith42 with 5 gift subs to the community. Thank you so much, Frith. That's excellent and very generous of you.
So with that third party member, slippery42 is going to head into the Antlion Cave, get some extra levels potentially on Cane, and certainly clear out a boss check and a key item location.
Yeah, picking up some good weaponry. The Dragon Whip for Rydia, normally we'd see people sell, and I imagine we will here too. which while it does increase her strength and agility, it tanks her casting spells, but it does sell for a good amount. We also saw an Ogre Axe in here, which means that all of our melee characters, when we turn Cecil into a paladin, will be able to have some pretty good weapons. And DemonRHK is making his climb onto Mount Hobbs.
Yeah, there are rare cases where you'll want Rydia equipped as a melee fighter, and you would want to keep that Dragon Whip. But when you're looking at these three guys as your first three party members, this is not one of those cases.
Absolutely. And I've noticed that both runners have done a good job of mitigating the accuracy penalty or the kind of lack of accuracy that axes have by keeping Sid in the middle spot when he's equipped with that axe. Ooh, and that strengthening will be nice for Slippery. Immediately putting it on Sid, getting an extra boost of strength, which should get him an extra multiplier and make Sid that little more dangerous in fights.
Yeah, and I believe Sid is going to be slower than the other two. I'm not entirely sure on that stat early on. And early on, agility anchoring doesn't matter too much, but you get in the habit of putting the slowest character in the middle.
Yeah, it's not a big deal early, but definitely as they go on, Sid won't gain agility very much and will be a pretty good anchor, keeping the rest of the party fast relative to your center person.
He won't get a lot of HP though. I've seen the stat tables. Apparently, he's the only character who can naturally hit quad 9 HP.
And we
have a Darkness Crystal.
We'll see if Slippery goes immediately to check that, maybe hoping for a Tello or a Fu, or maybe could be an Edge up there, or just could be Eddie. Anyone can be there. There's no gating. Once you have a key item, characters can be anyone.
Yeah, the only kind of character gating that happens is not starting with Edge or Fu in certain flag sets, or if you do the whole thing where you can't get a certain number of characters. But we have all the characters available here, so anyone can be anywhere at this point.
Yeah, and Rexarul in chat asking maybe if he'll go off to Cave Bahamut. That would be a very spicy decision. But there's a few free bosses that would be absolutely possible for them to take on and get rid of that objective very fast. Kind of curious if any of our runners would make that check, just to kind of know what's going to wait for them.
I agree that it would be a pretty spicy move. I personally wouldn't do it because there's also a lot of boss locations up on the moon that I would want to take care of and try to get key items, or in this case, some of the boss objectives down. I tend to be the type that I want to go to the moon as infrequently as possible. I don't want to be making this trip. So I would hold off. For me, Cave Bahamut would end up being my last objective of this set, if I could pull it off.
Yeah, normally, especially if you maybe already had the pass. And in chat, Wild Roger 2017 asking how C Standard is different from C Relaxed. Hopfin mostly covered that. It's that Edge and Fusoya are not available as characters unless they're behind a key item. That means they could be on the moon, but they can't be on the Baronet. We find exits and vampires in Mysidia. Those exits might make you a little bit more tempted to peek the Leviathan boss, since you can get out of there very quickly.
And indeed, we are seeing Slippery hit the crystal and head to the moon. 10 minutes into the seed. At the very least, I expect to see the character grabbed.
For sure. That's definitely the main reason why people would be going to the moon this early. And indeed, Pepita, as you can see, DemonRHK picking up that Darkness Crystal from Antlion. Not much in the moon shop today, just Odins and mallets, and runners aren't really going to buy either one of those.
I don't even remember what mallets do. I imagine they remove some status effect, but I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea either. I don't think I've ever even looked at the wonderful explanatory text that you can hit by hitting select, and chat is telling us that it removes mini.
Hmm.
And the moon giving us an edge. I think we saw a ninja sword already too in the game, so that edge will be pretty well equipped.
A ninja sword and a full moon, so that edge is good for the back row even.
Yeah, it would be better if Slippery had equipped the full moon in the other hand. That would actually have back row glitched edge. But with that edge of the party, they'll definitely be able to just absolutely take on the entire overworld and not really worry about anything in their path.
For example, this Dark Elf that DemonRHK is handling pretty well with a 3-person.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably in Fabul.
Yep, the Fabul Gauntlet location. So not a ton of HP there. A little more than you might expect for where it is in, the progression, because it's normally spread out across all the encounters, but
Yeah, but it doesn't do that much damage, so it's not too worrisome. We get half of an Excalibur from there.
and we have Plague as part 2 in the Baron Inn.
And Edge in that full moon just going to do some excellent damage.
Yeah, this is also not a particularly fast spot. This would be the karate or yang fight in vanilla, which is not super fast, but is really good physical damage. So you're kind of happy to see this here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And quite the weapon out of it, getting a White Lance to put on Kane and Iridia to put in the party.
Yeah, we'll see if maybe slippery42 goes hunting for a self-summon, or maybe just leaves Iridia kind of taking a nap throughout most of the fights. Without a self-summon, she won't really do the party that much good until she gets to noticeably higher levels, where she might pick up virus. So you might think about just leaving her taking a nap until you're ready to get some serious experience points on the moon, or maybe doing a D machine grind if we ever find a Tella or a Fusoya.
Yeah, but Slippery is going to check out what's in Mist, what's on Ridia's mom. We did see, the Odin summon for sale. Summons can be for sale, aside from the really powerful ones. So you might stumble upon Sylph in a shop. Perhaps the one in the Eblin Cave, now that we have the hook.
Yeah, Eblin giving us another character check, as well as those 3 gated shops, weapon, armor, and item. And we do get a black belt. That'll be a very nice piece of armor for probably that Kane once you give him the White Spear. Yeah, but as you were mentioning how Sylph is available in shops, that would definitely incentivize me to do a little bit more shop checking than I might normally with Rydia and the party and no actual white mages.
Interesting, we're seeing Slippery doing a bit of treasure hunting in the Watery Pass. There's not going to be any key items in here, and the treasure chests are not going to be the highest tier, but it is stuff, if nothing else. And, if you find a lot of trash, well, go sell it, make some money.
Yeah, that could be most of the desire behind this play, and I did see a Stardust item, so that will definitely help on Ordeals or kind of save for an early multi-boss fight that you might see here on Ordeals, or if you get an early Baron key where it could be used.
Yeah, or you get Gungnir and Crystal Gauntlets and good stuff that you might want to use.
Yeah, it looks like we just got a crystal armlet from the defending Fabul, which is a very nice piece of gear and will be helpful in the defeat Golbez's objective because it will prevent you from being held. It won't prevent the instant death attack, but will let at least one character be able to continue to act throughout the cut.
Yeah, with the Golbez fight in particular, that's one of those moments that people are finding Edward is a bit more valuable than you might let on, and just his ability to hide in that and speed it along is one of those esoteric values. It's like you said, you can't really prevent Shadow Dragon from doing what Shadow Dragon does unless you've got Adamant.
Adamant or Ribbon, but we're not going to see Adamant armors, and Ribbons are going to be hard to find. Chad talking about slippery42 keeping some of the extra Gundry Spears, since he already does have the white, and it's definitely true that those could be thrown with Edge and would possibly be very useful, a little more useful as throwing items than as selling items at the moment.
Yeah, if you're committing to keeping Edge in your party towards the end of the game, you're also committing to keeping some equipment in your inventory that you can throw, that you can, get value out of them in that way.
Yeah, it would be useful for like D-Lunars or the Baron Guards who have some counters to the normal fight command. So you kind of want to keep some of those items around just so that you have something to do with that. Ooh, and we do have a peek of Cave Bahamut from DemonRHK. Doing a little bit of looting, maybe? Oh, nope, walks away from the...
Yeah, you can loot it on the way back. It's a Sparkle.
And we know it's not Plague, who's the only free Sparkle here, so I would not actually be checking that if I most likely...
That's a bad noodle. That's a noodle.
That's not a good spot for him. Not an enormous amount of HP, but the physicals are going to do an awful lot of damage, especially that first physical after the double wave taking out half your HP. It's probably going to kill whoever it hits.
So yeah, that's going to be the last objective that we do tonight.
Yeah, that's definitely the we will grind until we can beat that, and then just go straight to Zeromus, because at that point, who cares? Ooh, it's some nice items, climbing ordeals, rune ring, and another black belt.
DemonRHK picked up their exits, getting a good handful that will probably find use relatively soon.
Yeah, I would definitely want to pick up a couple with this party, since we don't have any exit caster until Cecil becomes a paladin and gets a few levels. Would not be a bad idea. And both runners converging on ordeals.
And indeed, Dr. Luge, we presume. Should not be a terrible fight, though.
No, it should be pretty straightforward. I would definitely think about throwing Edge in the middle here, since Edge is going to be faster than the bosses by a decent bit, and is your strongest damage dealer still, probably, even with Kane and that White Spear. You'd get a little bit more out of the fights and maybe get through them a little bit faster. While I enjoyed the flavor of this dialogue when I was playing vanilla, it gets a little bit old seeing it constantly in the randomized.
Yeah, a little. It's always nice when you're able to shortcut a dialogue heavy fight. Whether it's a real fight or a fake fight, thanks Dr. Luke. You're dead now, so whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that fight was too real either.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rydia is not a real white mage, although she did learn a handful of white magic spells thanks to those levels. And speaking of not real fights...
Yeah, this should be pretty easy and straightforward. I don't think this flame's going to do quite enough to knock them all out, but it won't be far off. Or at least knock the first three out. The officer has the bulk of the damage, or bulk of the hit points, and bulk of the XP here.
Yeah, so Slippery is going to hope to... Nope.
Nope, that...
Retreat happened. Kane could not jump in time.
Yeah, that officer is too fast and has too much HP in that spot, but does make the fight very fast. And hopefully they're not going to need XP too much.
Meanwhile, DemonRHK did end up getting poisoned by the real fight, so gonna have to either heal or deal with that rather obnoxious shimmer for a bit.
It looks like going back to save, might be using a tent, which I think, definitely using a cabin, which will for sure get rid of the effect. We have our paladin, and it looks like we got a legend sword out of there. So as soon as we get underground, we have a fully powered Susk.
Yeah, that was a vanilla legend sword. This is not a vanilla CPU, but it is a pretty manageable fight. Unless you don't do enough damage fast enough and it starts to cast Globe 199, which is instant death anywhere.
Yeah, but it's not going to be that bad here. Look, Kane's already got it down with that jump, and there's no XP to worry about, so you just need someone to survive. And it looks like DemonRHK might have used the hourglass that the runners got early in order to get the full XP from this spot.
No.
Nope, there's a retreat. Never mind. They were just a little bit faster. That's good, because that would have been a bit of a waste of an hourglass. I'm glad that they did not do that.
Yeah, you would only take that strat if you find Officer in a really high XP slot. Because, for one, those are going to be spots that are a bit more dangerous. And two, that's a lot of XP, and it's all on Officer. So you'll want to get the kill. You'll take the time.
Yeah, you'd be looking to make sure to get a life glitch off on there, to toss a life potion or a life spell in order to get double the XP off of that.
Yeah, at this point we have covered most of the overworld. We just have Eblin Cave, and we have that Twin Harp. I do believe Slippery is going to give us a bit of music in a moment.
Yeah, gonna make that last check before knowing whether or not you have to dive the hook. And without a white mage, that hook isn't super appealing.
Showing us some of the treasure in the Chocobo Forest you don't see very often.
No, it is not very often you see people check the Chocopod.
You see it more in dark matter hunts, but the loot there is about the same as most other locations, so it's not really worth the time.
No, definitely not in T standard. In T Pro, it might be, especially if you're feeling cheeky or if you really feel like you're needing a little bit of extra boost, because those are considered lonely locations. So do get a bit of a punch up in terms of what treasure could be there in T Pro.
Mm-hmm. And then if you go T Wild, you can find literally anything in there.
Yep, wild is wild for a reason. Anything can be anywhere. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's for those days when you just really want to stomp all over the free enterprise. So do you have any music you're looking forward to as Slippery is approaching?
It's a good question. You know what? I think Secret of Mana. I want to hear something.
That'd be very nice. Of course, I'm not sure there's a bad harp song. Both Boardface and Calm Lemony have done excellent work in translating songs from other games into Edward's wonderful music. And it is time. I think we will take a moment and just sit here and listen.
So indeed, we pulled out some wild arms this evening and pulled out an evil wall.
Well, good thing Edge is going to do a lot of work at pulling down this wall. And I think this is a new track for me. I don't believe I've heard this on the harp before.
I mean, I'll admit I've not played Wild Arms, so anything out of that game would not be very familiar for me either.
Looks like DemonRHK had a little bit of trouble with the Plague there in the second spot on the Baron Inn. Might not have kept that full moon for Edge, or just might not have been using it quite as effectively as slippery42 did.
Yeah, or I don't remember how Slippery had their party arranged. So, agility could also have been a factor.
Yeah, very well could be. And that spot is slow enough that you might consider putting Edge in the middle too, just because he'll way outspeed.
Well, if you want another character, there's the package.
Yeah, I mean, that could be where Artella is hiding. There's only one extra character available in the pool, so if we find Artella there, I might be pretty tempted to just deal with the cutscene, because you never know when you're going to find maybe the standard B. I don't know if we've checked the Kaipo pet. I don't know if you want to deal with the any of the other places you could be getting a character.
Yeah, plus the 2 boss hunts still to do. I'm looking at those objectives. I would go and, do the cutscene and do the check, even if it's not Tella, just to get that boss slot off my list.
It's early enough that I'm not sure that I would, but with two of them, you've got a much better chance than only one. It could definitely propel the racer who does it, if it's correct, to a pretty significant lead. And this time, DemonRHK is through, collects the White Spear and their 5th party member.
And Slippery is immediately off to redeem the package and does see our one duplicate character of the seed. So we know that's not where Tella is, at least.
Yep, we don't need an extra cane. One potential betrayer is just fine. Nothing of value hiding in Mist Cave, as DemonRHK picks up their hook as well. We'll see if they also go towards the package, or towards the Twin Harp, in order to find the package and then eventually use the hook to get underground.
Yeah, because that hook is definitely our route. And Slippery finding the Fabul Gauntlet at the waterfall. Not gonna bother with that.
No, I sure wouldn't. That'd be an awful long time for really no gain. I agree, Rex. I've always said when the alt gauntlet appears but isn't required, it's always fun to run into it, and always a bit of a kind of head scratcher the moment it comes in a moon spot or a hidden boss location. I'm like, this is not a boss. Oh wait, yes it is.
And always that little bit of panic depending on where it is, since the alt gauntlet will pull from the random encounter pool of that area. And there are some random encounters that, little trickier than others, little more specific strategies. Certainly if you have a party full of mages and you wind up running into a pack of flans, you have a little bit of trouble on your hands.
And DemonRHK doing a little bit of shopping and finding curse rings in the armor shop in Kaipo, which is a very nice thing for later in the game when they actually will be looking for as slow of a middle character as possible. We'll be able to make that sit in a great anchor all game long. Finding Hourglass 2s and Coffins is slippery42 in the Evelyn item shop.
Yeah, we haven't had any luck finding sirens, but getting a couple of coffins is great for those bosses that don't have the boss bit. The Gauntlet, unfortunately, being one of them, so we know there's no value there, but also Dark Imps that applies. You can just wipe them out no matter what their HP.
Yeah, those Hourglass 2s will come in an awful lot of handy when going down here and maybe doing the trap chest that has a Foamrad Ogre, since we don't have a white mage, will make that much easier to deal with.
DemonRHK showing one of the little tweaks in Free Enterprise. If you have Rydia, she doesn't learn fire to clear out these ice. She learns a summon, in this case, Odin. So that is just a free Odin available in this seed.
Slippery42 running into the Staleman in the pot in the infirmary, which was definitely a surprise for me. One of the first times I did these trap chest seeds, and I did not realize that this encounter could be.
Yep, it raises a number of questions about the infirmary that we're not going to get into today.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well advanced their medical care is if they have monsters just hiding out.
I'm asking strictly about their attention span. They're right here. How do you not notice?
Yeah, these are fairly large to actually be stealthy enough to hide in that pot very well. And this is kind of a noxious fight, as we're seeing with slippery42. Gets through it, but Rydia was down and Edge was asleep for most of it.
But now we don't need to visit the forge because there's an Excalibur for free. Well,
Yeah.
free, you had to do the fight, but
that'll be nice for going down this hook route. Cecil is way powered up and will do a lot more damage to whatever bosses are here. And will, if you do decide to forge anyway, Edge will be very happy to take that extra one off your hands and throw it right in some enemy's face. Yeah, Pepito69XXX in chat asking essentially what summons are available off of Hobbs, and it's any summon up to Asura. So you can get Sylph, you can get Asura, but you can't get Bahamut or Leviathan.
yeah, you can also get any of Rydia's basic summons, like Shiva, which are not as good of a find.
Yeah, you're mostly looking for the Sylph summon or Jin are the two ones that I really am happy about anytime I see them. And we are shortly going to get a reprise of that wonderful Wild Arms music. And we see Edward and either Elements or Rubicant.
Yeah, we have DemonRHK through with the Evil Wall fight. Slippery showing us the Mad Ogre fight. Threw an hourglass at it and not a sweat.
Yeah, did a good job of making sure that someone was always available to throw a life potion as each one of the ogres was killed. Gets a good 16,000 experience and a white shirt that Rydia can wear until she grows up.
Yeah, so if you're considering keeping her around for, more healing effects for that Sylph and Asura, throw it on her and do so now, Because once she grows up, she has a different set of equipment that she can use, and if you can't really mess with that, you know?
Yeah, she'll be able to wear it while she's grown up if you put it on her before, but you won't be able to put it back on her once you've taken it off at that point. But you'll definitely get some really good magic defense and overall even physical defense from that white shirt for her for a while. I've even thrown it on Cecil a number of times if I don't have anything particularly good for him.
Yeah, or if you just happen to have a bunch of them, because that is one of those high tier but not exclusive items, so it can show up multiple times.
And DemonRHK looks like they might be taking this cane, or at least using the opportunity to check those bosses in Kaipo. Slippery42 finds a karate here, so this could be very, very free. Whoever lives through the couple of punches and a kick that will.
Yeah, 'cause with this flag set, we do have what are essentially the free bosses. So yeah, just Cecil gives Yang the old bonk, and you're good. Evelyn Royalty, you just need to last long enough for them to come to their senses, so on and so forth. Dark Knight Cecil is still pain, but much more manageable than if no free bosses was set.
Yeah, and we saw in at least one race over the weekend how much of a pain Dark Knight Cecil can be there in that spot, in the King Queen Evelyn spot. But with karate there and only needing just to survive and not getting any XP, that's a pretty easy free fight. And now we'll see if this is a vaguely randomized seed or if we get Ruby.
No, we get. It's not French vanilla as the community tends to use that phrase, but it's kind of vanilla. Is there another kind of vanilla out there?
I'm sure there is in terms of ice cream, like vanilla bean, maybe. You can
Maybe.
consider. Oh, there's a wyvern.
That's a wyvern, yeah.
It's going to be a pretty easy spot for a wyvern, though. So I guess if you have to do it, then it's not going to be too bad. I'm not sure a second cane is actually worth all of this, however.
Well, we're about to find out what Demon decides to do with that. Slippery, meanwhile, is just going to, hammer through this.
Yeah, the magic is low enough that you're not going to be too worried about this Fire 2, Fire 3 glare sequence, but it's still going to do an awful lot. Hopefully we can get it switched over to the Kenatsu pretty.
Yeah, Demon didn't even take Kane after all of that.
And thank you very much, Moonblaze Wolf, with the raid. Welcome in, Moonblaze Wolf and friends. Looks like that fire conflagration from Rubicon was a little bit nastier than I thought, with about 400 or more coming from the glare to everyone. This party is going to have a little bit of trouble with that, I think.
Yep, and so Slippery looks like that is a little bit of grinding.
Yeah, with no white mage, you're going to definitely want to get through that Rubicon phase very, very fast. And Slippery could use a neat little trick that I saw in a clip from Simbu, where if you time this correctly, you could have Cecil kill the last Blade Man and kind of parry around back to Cecil by the time the Blade Man would get resummoned by the Sorcerer. and just use this as a single fight mini grind, kind of like doing clappers.
Yeah, certainly not as high of an XP play, but it's still a reasonable grind. Getting the XP for every one that it summons.
Yeah, that way you wouldn't have to go through all the time it would take to just get into new fights and everything. And if you time it right, the enemy will the sorcerer would only have time just to summon a new blade man, in which you just kill immediately again with something.
Yeah, but all that said, Slippery is just going to take the one fight and then head on to take on elements again. I didn't see how many levels they got out of doing that, so I don't know how big of a difference this is going to be.
It was only about 7,000 XP, so maybe a level or two for everybody, but not going to be that.
Yeah, that is not a lot.
Rydia throwing that Soul Globe to kind of slow things down. And with Kain in the air, I'd probably try to get it swung around back to Rydia's side so she can get a self-cast pretty soon. Or at least maybe wait until we get the Rubicon phase coming.
Did Rydia have Sylph on Slippery's side?
You know, I was just assuming that they had it, so probably don't, actually. Because I don't think I saw it in the list there. I think we had just talked about wanting to get it so much that I assumed that they had it.
Yeah, this might be a case where, to clear this out, you really do need to go hunt that down and add it to your Rydia.
Yeah, hunt that down, or maybe hunt down a Blizzard Spear or an Ice Brand for Kain or Cecil to just really get through this. Oh, that Sid and that Rune Axe, since Rubicant is a mage type, doing a lot of work. And is through. This should be much easier now.
Yeah, Kanazo, a lot more manageable. Rydia's got lit. It's lit 1, but it still pulls a lot of weight.
Still a cool 640 from lit 1 is impressive. And both runners, after Edward gives them some very nice tunes, decide that he's better off just staying in bed.
Edward has provided his service to the party for this seed, and we salute him and send him on his way.
The fun thing with this Elements fight, as you notice Cecil all of a sudden doing enormous amounts of damage, is that they kind of forgot to not make Val weak to everything on this last transformation. Normally the bosses have been switching around their weakness and weaknesses and resistances throughout the fight, but Val just happens to be weak to everything and is very fast to dismiss.
So that means Slippery will be our first one into the underground, having taken a bit of a long route, all told.
Yeah, anytime you do an extra check other than the always available ones, it takes a little bit longer, and while you might feel behind at 50 minutes underground, it's not a horrible time.
And we see a Mom Bomb up at the top of the tower. Not a required fight, at least for the boss choice.
Yeah, we might see them want to do that just for the key item check, but Mom Bomb kind of being awful there as Mom Bomb splits the XP. Normally that's a spot I will do just for the 26,000 and it's not very difficult. But in this case, I would probably skip it until I was doing the tower key as well.
Yeah, not much reason to rush the tower this seed.
Looks like we are rushing immediately to Tomra. Hopefully we get a job dwarf check.
Oh, but we find sirens, so that's going to be very nice for grinding no matter where we do it.
Yeah, that'll help prepare these melee characters up to, or propel these melee characters up to a high enough level. And we have a mental health counselor as our job dwarf. With the melee characters, we'll be able to just have enough HP to where they're not as worried about stuff. And we do find a Blizzard Spear that would have been nice about 5 minutes ago.
And Slippery is going to go and forge that second Excalibur.
Which
Because,
will also...
yeah, why not?
Yeah, and you also get access to the shop here, which does have better gear available to it than any other shop in the game.
Such as Power Robes and Leviathan.
I would be all about buying at least one of those power robes. The Heron robe is very nice, but I'm not going to turn Rydia into a melee character with the rest of this. And Leviathan is also good, but I'm not sure it's actually worth it.
Yeah, Leviathan is the one you use until you get Bahamut. But if you're figuring odds are low enough that I might not end up with it and I still want Rydia to be doing summons, then sure.
Yeah, there's still enough. We haven't run into the Dark Imps, and we haven't run into D-Lunars or the Baron Guards for multi-boss fights, where you can target multiple bosses at the same time. That's where Leviathan will come in handy, since we don't really have any multi-target magic yet.
Yeah, we're also seeing Slippery, like, that shop visit is kind of showing that, you know, what they're concerned with in terms of their final party. I don't think Slippery is taking a Yang, having gotten rid of Cat Claws, Thunder Claws, that sort of stuff. You start to clear out your inventory and decide these characters not worth taking anymore. These I'm going to hold out on.
Yeah, although I would have kept the Thunderclaw at least, because Edge can take a good advantage of those claws as well. Get some more high-quality underground stuff with Bacchus Wine being available in the dwarf shop. With no white mages, the ability for our runners to self-cast Berserk will be excellent. And I believe that has to be Water Hag.
That has to be Water Hag.
All right, 55 minutes in, one of our runners will complete their first objective. I don't know about you, I would feel a little tense.
Yeah. This is, it's a bit late to just now be, checking things off that list. Not going to be all that annoying of a fight. We just have to listen to Anna's motivational speaking for a moment.
Yeah, I'd be a little sad that it's not somewhere more difficult, but this first spot can have a decent amount of HP and can hit kind of hard. So it's not, of the two, I'd much rather have it here than the vanilla Golbez looking.
Mm-hmm. And hey, if we happen to have a vanilla Golbez, then that's 2 objectives down.
Yeah, for sure, that'd be amazing. And we see DemonRHK, I saw you use Flood for some good effect on that the Rubicon form of element. Unfortunately, looks like it's not going to go well in the end unless Kane comes down and does an awful lot of work.
Nope. Demon is going to take a wipe. And Slippery is not going to take a Palom.
No, I don't blame him since you just spent 35k on that Leviathan summon. Rydia's probably just going to do all the work that you need Palom to do. And here's a Mylon Z for free. Cecil's going to do a good bit of damage on this next swing.
Yeah, 3,700. That's a good amount of damage.
Yeah, when he has less than 1,500 hit points.
Yeah, I know a lot of runners will prefer Palom over Rydia in terms of black mages. Palom learns a lot of damaging spells a lot faster, and I believe has a higher HP cap overall. But if you're doing what Slippery did, investing in those summons, again, you've invested in your party decisions, and you're not going to go back on it.
Yeah, only gets a gold apple from that fight, but does complete one full objective. So I think it's overall worth it. But yeah, I agree that you do kind of want to just double down on your decisions. I might have thought about keeping Palom just because he does require a noticeable less amount of experience in order to get up to nuke or get to the point where he can survive big bangs. But definitely can't argue with keeping that Rydia. Slippery doing a little bit of light looting, picking up a poisoned axe that will be very nice to sell and get some of that money back.
Slippery's going to go visit the Feymarch, see what the free item is going to be, and see what bosses are in the summon slots. Now, if we see a Golbez down there, then we know we have to do it. If we don't, do you think our runners are going to bother?
I would only bother if it's something free at this point. Wouldn't quite trust the party to deal with anything that wasn't immediately obvious. Ooh, there's a Stardust Rod. That really is going to be very happy. That will definitely help out the magic much more than the dragon. DemonRHK is still running into that Golbez form of element, and Golbez doing a lot of work against the party, unfortunately.
Oh, Rubicate, not Golbez. I can't imagine Golbez being very friendly in an elements fight.
I was thinking about the objective, and it looked like that was a turtle and an Octomam.
That was.
Either of those are fun.
The Feymarch is under the sea tonight.
Yeah, those bosses are indeed all wet, aren't they?
Well, looks like Slippery is doing what you mentioned, Antidale, just heading on out of here, leaving this until later. Those are root fights, and we don't yet know if there's any value to that. We are looking for a character. No characters down there. We are looking for one more key item, the pan. Okay, that could be down there, but there's still plenty of other spots that you can go rooting around in.
Yeah, you could think about doing the Octomam fight if you can survive the first few punches, especially if you kept the Thunderclaw for Edge and got Edge Berserked. Edge would do a lot of damage pretty quickly, and all the hits would slow down Octomam. But I'm not sure if Cecil has enough defense to really pull off cover strats too well.
Now, I think that's a spot where you're trying to use like Silk Web or even illusions, like something to mitigate the actual fight.
Yeah, especially without a white mage. I would definitely believe that passing on that at the moment is the better part about it.
So we're gonna get a little bit more shopping from Slippery. Looking for really any item of impressive value at this point. Summons would be front of my mind.
It looks like they did keep the Thunderclaw, which is good. That will come in handy with if and when they ever do need to come back to that Octoman spot. Hopefully they don't need.
Yeah, the thing is, I was saying about like, oh, we'll leave the Fey March till later. We'll go do the other stuff that's available. There's actually not a lot of other stuff available right now, unless you're willing to go to the moon.
Well, and we do have hourglasses, and we do have sirens, and we saw mute bells as well. I'd be very tempted by doing a warlock run.
I can see that. Personally, I'm the type I would have gone and done an egg grind in the underground, just because it's right there and it's a pretty safe one. Maybe not the most efficient of all the options, but gets the job done.
Yeah, it's definitely nice and safe, and ends up probably being about the same amount of time as doing warlocks or anything else on the moon.
And it does look like that is what Slippery is doing. Heading over to the peninsula and cabin up, drop some sirens, get some levels. Levels that I'm sure DemonRHK would love to have right now, because those elements are putting up quite the fight.
Yeah, that's been a pretty rude spot. I don't think we've seen any Dragoon gear or anything to kind of help out with some extra fire resistance. And I don't know if we saw any ice weapons up in shops in the Overworld.
I don't recall seeing any myself.
Oh, I would definitely be taking that curse ring off of Sid for this fight, or maybe switching the rune axe over to Kane to get through that a little bit faster. I don't think that drain spear is going to do quite what he wants it to do. And RPG Limit Break come in with a big raid tonight. They were hosting one of the other Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Fabul Gauntlet tournament rounds, and it looks like they must be have completed. Thanks for coming in, guys. It's great to have you. To catch you all up on what's going on, we started with Sid and Dark Knight Cecil. We had an early Darkness Crystal where Ed was on the moon. The harp has already been checked and was Wild Arms 1 music. And you can see DemonRHK here fighting the elements in the vanilla Rubicon spot and having a little bit of trouble with it.
Yeah, and Slippery is showing us how they've managed to take a bit of an advantage. They have been doing spot grinding here and there, which I guess made a lot of the difference getting to that elements fight.
And they did allow Sid to not be cursed and attack the Rubicant form of elements with the rune axe, which, since Rubicant in that fight is a mage, gets a lot of extra damage.
Yeah, we saw one of the drawbacks of the drain spear. If you use it on an undead, kind of doesn't do what you want it to do.
Yeah, other than the fact that it just has very low accuracy and reduces its stats, I would not be equipping that. I would probably be taking the shield off and giving you the rune axe overall, since if you're going to keep Sid with the curse ring on. And one thing, with Slippery doing that Staleman chest in the infirmary, getting that Excalibur there, rather than having to wait to underground to get an Excalibur, I think that was another big factor in slippery42, getting past that element.
That is true. I forgot that Demon did not do that check. Might be that they didn't realize you could have monsters in that pot. So I know you were saying that's something that can surprise players. Or they're just thinking, let's not bother with trap chests. The rewards are valuable, but not key items or anything essential.
Yeah, and I know I normally don't do that chest. It's usually a little bit too long for me to actually want to. Looks like we're getting a Berserk Cane, who might have been just standing out of that. Yep, we have a Berserk Cane with the Drain Spear. While Slippery makes their first go into seeing who is here at Valued Cave, which is one of their required objectives, does not yet know that they are going to find the Nope Room.
It's times like these that I wish I wrote down the myriad nicknames that the community has had for Ogopogo, because some of them are downright hilarious.
They are, and I imagine chat might be willing to either come up with new ones or remind us of some of them.
Yeah, the Nope Noodle, the Nope Rope, the Danger Noodle, the Rude Rigatoni.
Yes, it's when we get full into the pasta puns. This is when I enjoy most.
Scary Spaghetti.
Through. Good work by Demon to get through that Rubicon phase. Now should be able to handle it the rest of the way. Ooh, Fatal Fettuccine. That's a good one, Julison. I like that a lot. And Slippery realizing that without a white mage, that fight is going to be no fun and possibly not even likely to happen with this party. So wisely going down into Lunar Subterranean, probably going to do a little grinding, maybe see if they can find a free boss or two down here.
Yeah, at this point, all of your remaining characters are kind of blocked. So we need to be finding key items to really get anywhere at all. A little surprised to only be at 6 after an hour plus.
Yeah, with the Fame bosses being Kanatsu in the Leviathan spot and Octomam in the Asura spot, I don't blame either runner for passing on those. You could, at this point, I might have thought about doing Octomam at the top of tower, or not Octomam, Mom Bomb at the top of tower, just to have another key item check. That fight wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, like you said, it'll be a little bit of a dip in the resulting XP, but you take that at this stage.
Yeah, and buying that Leviathan summon means Radio will definitely be able to clean up the resulting baby bombs, but Radio will be able to clean up these Calbrenas also very well.
Yep, showing us that half of them have the boss bit and half of them don't. But that just makes it all the better for knocking out the Brennas and knowing that the cows won't do the fusion dance, as it were.
Yeah, it's a little sad to not get the full XP here. We'll get probably half or less. The Sid Hourglass 2 eventually wears off, but it's so long most of the time that you just don't worry about it.
Finding the Crystal Sword, so that is a Cecil extremely online, but not key items.
No, but I definitely accept that Moon Veil too. That will be very handy if you ever decide that you need to do Octomam or any purely physical fights that might still be here on the moon. If you can find some Cure 3s, that would make the Ogopogo there, Leviathan, free. for at least one character.
Yes, DemonRHK is finally taking up Pitfall and heading into the underground, finding Baigen up on the moon.
This is not a fun spot for Baigen. This plague spot has an awful lot of physical attack, although Sid managed to weather the first one not too bad.
Yeah, Sid is a tank. But Rydia is not a tank, so need to be a little worried if Baigen decides to take a swing at her.
I'll definitely be interested to see if DemonRHK feels a little bit behind, given how much struggle they had to get through the Elements fight. Maybe it takes a gamble at one of those fights that Slippery decided to bail on.
Yeah, well, we have seen that pay out. We had a run earlier this week where an essential item was on Dark Imps at the Ashura spot. One runner took the risk, took the hourglasses, made it happen, and the other one kept doing the other safer moves that did not end up paying out.
Yeah, Julius in chat pointing out that you might want to throw with that X-Cal that you have, the extra one here. In worst case, if you'd save beforehand, you just, if this isn't value, you just reset to get it back. Well, that's a rat tail, so that's definitely a key item check we can do.
Yeah, hard to declare that value yet, though. We don't know what's behind it. Could be just another key item, could be high value treasure. There's no real indication.
Yep, we'll just kind of delay on that fetch quest for a little while DemonRHK gets the good news that one of their objectives will be over soon. Kind of imagine that both runners will be full clearing the moon unless DemonRHK has able to do some extra checks in the underground that Slippery did not do. Just because there's so many key items missing. I'm sure the runners are expecting there to be a lot here.
Well, we go from Nope Rope to Pain Man. The Ogopogo spot having Dark Knight Cecil. If we can survive 3 hits, though, it's all good.
Yeah, it looks like just needs to get one more Cure 2 on that Cecil. Cecil's going to survive. We're not going to worry about anybody else. Maybe toss a life potion at the very end, if there's time. That is definitely a speech I am happy to see anytime you get through this without having to level a lot.
Just getting a Murasame. I mean, you've got an edge, so there is value there, but again, not a key item. Not what we're looking for.
Yeah, definitely a good damage upgrade, but not a key item, and Palom is not taken by either runner, as DemonRHK also decides to ditch the Quake Kit.
Yeah, Rydia sitting on that fire 2. We don't even get to see the fire 2. Never mind. Demon was completely prepared for that Mylon, but didn't even need some of the preparation.
Yeah, the Paladin, Cecil, and Kane both with holy weapons going to do a good amount of damage. Although actually, did Demon actually go in and forge Excalibur yet?
I'll be honest, I was focusing on Slippery, so I'm not sure. I don't think they did. I don't think they've been on the south part of the underground at all. But I can't say for sure yet.
Here's an Odin, and I noticed that Slippery did keep the Thunderclaw, so I would absolutely be switching that Ninja Sword to a Thunderclaw pretty quickly just to get the 4 times damage off of this. And ow, that's a punch.
Yeah, that's why you want to be doing it. You can't exactly rely on Rydia to do any lit, because Oda's just gonna knock her down, and hard and fast.
Yeah, the good thing though, this being the Wyvern spot, the Zenokutsun is not going to do that much damage. And I know I mispronounced that, chat, but please correct my pronunciation in text whenever you'd like.
Yes, phonetic alphabet required, though.
There's also not that much HP here. Probably have to life a couple of people up, but should get through it fairly straightforward. And exactly the person you want dead at the end of that fight.
Mm-hmm. And the Earth Crystal as a prize. That's 2 characters. That's 2 boss slots. That's very rude.
Yeah, but that's a high amount of probability we're going to get a white mage out of there, even if that white mage is Tella.
DemonRHK with another chest that I had no idea existed over in the forge.
Yeah, that one to the right of the stairs here is definitely one I did not know about until I saw someone on stream do.
Yeah, you learn something new every day.
I mean, you hope to. Definitely glad on any days that I do.
Well, yes, another thing we're going to learn is who's at this moon slot, the last one to look at before we head back down, unless you're willing to take a chance on Ogopogo.
And this is a very good spot for Slippery to find the Mega Sisters. They're not going to do much damage. They flame themselves. And there's a Rune Axe on Sid, so this should be pretty straightforward.
DemonRHK heading down to the Fey March, checking the chests along the way. Little dangerous. There is a trap chest here with enemies that hit kind of hard. And they're not bothering with float or anything to offset the floor damage. So they stumble upon it. That's probably just a reset.
Yeah, and I didn't catch to see if they had saved beforehand. Leviathan takes out 2 of the sisters on Slippery's side. But DemonRHK is through, did not find the warrior chest, doesn't have to worry. Picks up their Stardust Rod. Probably will equip Riddy with that pretty soon.
And the sisters held a tower key. So we got plenty of stuff to do when we come back to the blue planet.
Yeah, looks like Slippery is very willing to abandon Ogopogo and just come back much later with a white mage or a noticeable amount of more level.
Yeah, because again, unless you find the pass, you're going to have to come back to the moon once more for the final fight. So, yeah, let Bahamut be the last objective that we do. DemonRHK really considering this and going to take the Optimam fight.
Yeah, of the two fights here, this is the one I would think about. Because as long as you can get someone going pretty fast, you have a chance. But I would absolutely be back row, be getting Setsu on the back row, and possibly even having him cover from the beginning. Not sure they quite have enough defensive equipment for him to really make it pay off, though.
Yeah, because as we can see, that Optimam hits very hard, too hard for Demon. That's going to be a reset. See where they decide to go from here. I expect they'll be making the moon trip.
Yeah, and Bacon Pie in chat asking if Ogo is even possible without a healer. And I think it is. You'd want to find Cure 3s if they're in the seed. But if you can and get someone Berserked right away, you'd be able to pull it off. It might take a few levels, though.
And if we thought Octomam was bad on the physical attack, yeah, Kanazo is not the one you want to be doing.
No, Leviathan Spot has a noticeable amount higher punching time, and is just going to make your day awful there.
And we find Golbez, we find Objective 1 up in Zot.
Yep, now we have to wait for a cutscene, and the spot is kind of slow. So this cutscene might take a little while to play out, it looks like.
It's a nice, hearty laugh.
DemonRHK going to be probably soon getting their Artemis arrows from Sheila 1. We'll see if they stop off at the top of the tower.
But they have to visit Tamra first.
Yes, got to get those sirens. Probably be very, very happy to see them, and maybe think about going back to do those bosses in the Fey March with them. We'll see how much they want to gamble on that.
That was a surprisingly weak reflected virus from Golbez.
Yeah, this spot doesn't have a lot of magic power. Unfortunately, couldn't do enough to damage with radio with that Lit 3. But Kane with the White Spear and Golbez being weak to Holy, doing excellent work with the jumps, doing more than 10,000 out of 2 of that, and clears the fight. So who do you think Slippery is looking forward to at and wanting to see here at the end of the Earth Crystal?
It's I don't know. You want Tella for the objective, but you don't want him for anything else. Fu is always a nice find, and certainly we've done enough bosses that he should be at or near full power. I don't know. I think that Rose is fine.
Yeah, definitely be happy to see Rosa. Would think about ditching Rydia for her, or maybe even the.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of strats you want to take into Zeromus. If you want to do a more balanced party, then yeah, ditch Sid.
That's
even
where all
more
the
white mage.
mages. White Mage Tower. I guess Rosa was just sick of Porum being a white mage and wanted to be the only one to get those accolades. Yeah, not surprising to keep Rosa over Porum, and like you suggested, keeping that Rosa over Sid, looking for probably that balanced party.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have very exciting equipment for her. So we're just gonna have to hold off with her for a bit until we find something, or yeah. Don't worry about it at all. Just have her constantly casting spells.
Yep, and we get 3 Dark Imps coming out of the Vanilla suit here at the top of the Tower of Zot, while DemonRHK is doing some work on these alerts in Lower Babel, looking for some good treasure, and doing it very well with Edge and a Thunderclaw to one-shot all of them. Finds an Artemis bow, which is a nice weapon.
Yeah, ironically, not a very good one for Rosa, though, with its dip to your Wiz and Will.
Yeah, definitely would transform Rosa into being more of a melee character if you wanted to. But could be good for Sid, would be an upgrade, especially with those Artemis arrows.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now the runner's just looking for Tella and looking for the pan.
And either of those can be in Baron, Slippery having found the key.
And the Earth Crystal check leaving you very happily right outside of Baron. So I imagine that's going to be the next check.
And also happily at 10 key items.
Yeah, Mages in chat pointing out that they're a little surprised that DemonRHK is not doing any stealing on these alerts. We do have the Japanese item tables in the game, and so you can steal sirens from them. Could be a very effective grind, especially if we get into the brackets and you have no other good way to get easy XP. I'm not entirely sure it's worth it here, because the sirens we do know are available in Tamra, but it wouldn't be awful either. Now, I know I have absolutely forgotten who is in the Baigan spot. Do you remember, Hupfin?
I believe it was Asura, actually. So should not
that's
be
right.
a terrible fight.
No, Sid's going to do probably be able to one-shot if they want to. Assuming Sid still has the Rune Axe on for a Slippery.
And at the very least, this is a slot that should be easy to lifelock if it comes down to that. It did not come down to that. Cecil just wailing.
No, an Angry Excalibur Cecil does plenty of work. Rose is already a Berserk. She doesn't need anything else, really. Although healing would be nice. Oh, Gambit, did Slippery not take the equipment from Sid as we find the Bahamut on the throne of Bear? So in this seed, the summons have come to invade Baron, and Bahamut quickly dealt with. Hi, bye, you didn't even get to...
Yeah, that is not exactly the fastest slot to deal with.
Oh, and you're right, Mages. They do have a Crystal Sword from the D-Lunar spot. And there is our old man.
Although he's decked out in the Young Tella palette this evening that we will not see any further because he's gone.
Yeah, that's a very easy high bye Tella. You're not going to be that useful in the final fight. Although I'd be half tempted to not bother leveling Rydia up and use Tella as my anchor.
don't know. At this point, I think we're looking at vanilla parties. Certainly that's where Slippery is right now, and I don't really see that changing. We get the spoon for Edge to throw, because why not?
Yeah, that'll be nice. Good. I was wondering there if Slippery was going to save. Still not sure if they're going to save after going through that, because I would definitely imagine you'd want to save before going down to fight Odin.
Yeah, at this point, Slippery is just looking for that pan, which just means clearing out bosses. Really, there's not much else that you can do to speed that along. And just hoping against hope that it's not in Cave Bahamut, because that would suck.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awful, but they do have 10 key items and sirens and money. So levels are on the table and will be acquired. Kane not doing quite enough to one-shot that egg. Bacon Pie, we have both the King and Queen summon monster locations in the Feymarch. We have seen D-Mist. D-Mist gave us the hook. But we still have the entire Tower of Babel that DemonRHK is going to give us the first check of very soon. We still have the Ogopogo spot, and we still have the Odin spot. And I believe that is it. Oh, and Rat Tail as well.
And the Rat Tail, yeah. And Sealed Cave.
Correct. We don't even have access to that spot yet.
But yeah, that is... There's only one... Oh, there's the pan. Never mind. All the rambling that I was prepared to do is once again made useless. We didn't even need that tower key.
No, don't need the tower key at all. The keyless tower play pays off. Now, hopefully DemonRHK can get themselves up to the moon and take out that Wyvern spot and Odin there to get the Earth Crystal.
So yes, this could end up being good for DemonRHK, largely depending on how Slippery approaches things from here. Which checks they decide to do next, if they decide to go back down to the Feymarch, or just head straight to the tower.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Demon's...
like Feymarch.
Yeah, it looks like. And of course, Demon still has to make the correct moon play and all of that.
Yeah, I think Slippery still has a notable edge from getting through that Elements fight on the hook route a good bit faster. But DemonRHK can definitely catch up some time here, especially if they're not baited by a possible Luca key behind that pan. Of course, DemonRHK doesn't need to make off a stop in Cave Bahamut because they already know what's waiting for them there eventually.
Well, speaking of the Luca key...
Well, that's not going to help DemonRHK pick up any time, unfortunately.
Nope. That might even cost them more time if they decide to chase it. but I kinda don't expect them to, honestly. It's not exactly a favorite location to be checking, and you have all those spots on the moon that are at this point more likely.
Yeah, depending on what you know about your opponent and whether or not they're likely to have checked that already or think that they might have done Keyless Tower before going to the moon, you might feel like that you would have already lost in case if it was there, so you could feel free to abandon that check. And Sheila, a little late with that magma key for our runners.
Yeah, we kind of don't need that anymore, but, thanks, I guess. And we definitely do not need that sand ruby since we're not looking for characters anymore.
No, although I don't remember who that is.
I don't think that either of our runners checked. Slippery having a bit of an easier time with Kanazo with those Thor Rages. It's still a very rude fight.
Yeah, Kanazo still gets one wave in, but Rydia able to pick Rosa back up, and it's going to do enough damage that probably the second wave won't be too worrisome.
It's like DemonRHK is doing the early sit dump and taking Kane. Showing that, we can retrieve our dismissed characters.
Yeah, the seed buy flag is not on, so we can go to the Tower Wishing, as we just saw, to get those characters back. And looks like they might be using that Kane to get a little bit of a slingshot.
Yeah, they are only at 9 key items currently, but you can still slingshot relatively well, even before the double XP point.
Yeah, and could be thinking about using that Kane as a agility anchor for the first couple of fights too, to keep them down on the floor until they get 10 key items.
Yeah, that is true. But throwing a White Lance on them, maybe not. That's the sort of thing you give a proper damage dealer.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious why the other Kane didn't already have that White Lance, unless we found two and I missed one.
I have no idea. Demon did do that bit of siren grinding, so maybe one of those, or not siren grinding, alert grinding rather.
Oh, right.
And maybe one of those dropped it.
And we have a down turtle who gives us a white shirt from its shell.
What size shirt would a turtle wear? I can't imagine that fits well on any party member.
No, unless it was just kind of like stuck to the shell and not actually worn by Kanazo. Who knows?
That's fair.
Oh, and Scala with the wonderful a size T for turtle.
I have no means by which to argue against this point.
No, Scala is irrefutable.
Mm-hmm. But with the Fame Arch down, Slippery is heading over to the Odin spot. Has not climbed the tower yet. We know that is where they need to go.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I would have probably done all of Baron in one go. or just gone straight to the tower, since you did pick up that tower key on the moon and want to chase all of my moon.
Yeah, or at the very least, clear out the entire underground in one go, because the tower and the pan check is all that's left. We find out that Rubicant is our old king tonight.
And those Fire 2 is actually doing a little bit of damage because it's a fairly high damage spot, but because it's split 5 ways, a couple hundred per person isn't going to be hard for Rosa to heal.
But it does make Glare quite a bit worse.
Yeah, Kane gets the evil eye, falls down on the floor. Might not get back up for this fight because Cecil's doing a lot of damage. And Jade of the Vise in chat suggesting that perhaps that white shirt is indeed a turtleneck. And we get a Bahamut summon. That Rosa, or that Rydia will be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that is the one that you're looking for the whole time. Gonna learn that straight away and then never bother with anything else.
DemonRHK is finding that Calbrand is there in the D-lunar spot, which should be cleaning it up pretty quickly. It looks like they've already used one of the hourglass. Rydia does not know the Leviathan, since they might not have picked up the Excalibur, or decided not to buy the Leviathan summon from Kokol's shop.
Yeah, it was like I didn't see the hourglass be used, and with this activity, it looks like it might not have been used.
Oh, are the back dolls still attacking?
Back dolls are still attacking.
Because I saw them have highlighted in the inventory. I wonder why they decided not to use it.
Might be worried about the boss bit. Because again, hourglasses are only effective on enemies that do not have that set. And the idea of Cal and Brenna, being specialized boss characters, not some encounter thrown into a boss slot, you would expect they would all have that bit and be immune to it. Just the fact that the Cals aren't and the Brennas are is a bit weird.
Yeah, that could be DemonRHK could be a little bit newer to the game and not know some of those very tricky, subtle differences between what looks like a boss and what actually is a boss. Slippery is ascending the tower, going straight to the top. Should be picking up their pan very shortly.
Yeah, I don't expect Mom Bomb to give them any trouble.
No, Crystal Sword Cecil's going to do some work, as always. DemonRHK doing a good job, though, of making sure that both doll types are still on the screen so that we don't see the big doll form together. And Crimson Avix in chat, who is our wonderful tracker this evening, doing an excellent job keeping up with the checks the runner's been doing, asks if Slippery will check the tower super cannon room on the hopes of a pass. That is worth the time, I think.
Yeah, if nothing else, that is an extremely easy fight. Not much HP there.
And Demarine with the raid. Demarine, one of our wonderful workshop helpers, always doing a great job in the free enterprise community. I hope you had a great practice tonight, Demarine, and thanks for coming in with the raid. And Charlotte Moon asking, if Bahamut Cave is last, wouldn't you just go to the bottom of the moon? It depends on how confident you are, and it's actually a surprisingly long walk from the top of the moon all the way down to the bottom. It's probably actually faster to get in the whale, go back to Earth, and park it outside of Troya.
Yeah, that's one that I want to see someone time.
Yeah, I know we've timed the walk. I don't know if we've timed the get in the whale from Cave Bahamut, landed outside the Luna Palace, then walk down, versus the having to do a super cannon fight and deal with the cutscene on that. It'd be close.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be moot for this seed because Slippery is just straight go mode at this point. It's going to run, do this little pan bonk, and then probably head straight to Ogopogo at the Bahamut spot.
And DemonRHK running into that Pain Man, Dark Knight Cecil, and not having quite the levels that Slippery did for that fight, takes 3 dark waves directly to the face and nopes out.
Yeah, fortunately that one did not matter.
Yeah, that was just a very good ninja sword, so not a big deal to pass on that. We'll miss the 60,000 XP a little bit, but with Star Veils, you're not too worried about it. Looks like they want to equip the Rydia with the Artemis Bow and arrows and do some serious work on the King Ryus here. Always fun to see Archer Rydia.
Yeah, like you're saying, if DemonRHK is a little low on levels, here's a good way to get some levels.
Yeah, I probably still would have equipped him on Cecil. He'd be doing more damage than Rydia just because of that native higher strength. We get more multipliers out of there. But Rydia doing 2,000 is very good for her with a physical attack.
Yeah, and if you spend an hourglass on these, it doesn't matter what your defense looks like.
Oh, and unfortunately a little slow getting into the menu to get the life glitch off and get an extra 45,000 XP since they don't yet have 9 key or 10 key items.
Yeah, little thing but a costly thing.
Bacon Fine Chat asking if you could possibly get some jumps off to survive Pain Man. It's possible, but jump has a pretty slow time to kick in, so you might take both of them to the face, maybe even all 3 before you actually leave the ground, since that Cecil's going to be pretty fast. But if Kane can survive 2 and jump over the 3rd, that would be a way through that fight.
Well, certainly stacking on the HP to make that more likely with just a handful of levels. Gonna take at least one more King Ryu fight to play it safe. Slippery, though, heading into the danger zone to take on Ogopogo. Their party is hovering around level 50, which is pretty good, but this is Ogopogo at Bahamut, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, the reason why this has been the easiest objective to notionally complete, but it will be the last one our runners do complete, just because of how hard this spot hits with physical attacks. And Ogopogo is going to do half your life in damage and then just start punching you. And occasionally doing another quarter of your max health. I'm a little bit surprised we don't see Bucketswines coming out, unless Slippery did not buy enough to do both this and the Zeromus fight.
Yeah, I didn't see how many they picked up, but I believe it was a more modest amount. Fortunately, that Cure 4 from Rosa just completely undoes Ogopogo's initial attack.
Slipper going to learn shortly that Ogopogo doesn't like, just like Ogopogo doesn't like magic attacks, will not also like summon, but doesn't like them in a different way.
Yeah, you don't show Ogopogo his brother. It doesn't go well. Actually, it didn't go that badly.
Now, the Blades isn't that bad, and I forgot that it's the same. I was thinking of the D-Lunars who would remedy themselves on a summon cap. But you can show Ogopogo a Crystal Sword and they will run away after enough applications. There's New Gunridia. I don't think Slippery needs any more levels.
Nah, this is going to be a rush. Straight to Zeromus.
Yeah, Crimson Avix in chat pointing out that Wyvern hates summons too, but Wyvern hates summons in a way that you can actually use and abuse, since casting a summon at Wyvern will trigger another application of Mega Nuke, which you could still reflect. An Intra coming out on DemonRHK side doing almost 4,000 points of damage.
And Slippery is heading back to Earth. Again, does not have the pass currently, I want to point out.
Yeah, I wonder if they forgot about the pass, or maybe are looking for some more levels. Maybe would buy new Star Veils here. Nope. I wonder if they're out of Star Veils or out of some item that they want before going to Zeromus.
That's got to be it.
DemonRHK picks up their Earth Crystal. Does have all they actually need here on the moon, except for defeating Ogopogo, even though they don't know it quite yet.
And Slippery realizing they left their car in town, and it's in the way. Someone tow the Falcon, please.
But Baron's nice enough to provide a little Chocobo air support. Is able to fly that black Chocobo that only appears after you've, I think, summoned the whale and go to the moon. And only in the Barren Forest does an extra black Chocobo appear.
So I know we did see Star Veils. Oh. Slippery, you don't have a pass.
Yep, at least you don't have to go through your entire inventory to figure that out. The game is nice enough to only show you some of the items and show you that you don't have the pass. Is able to then relocate the Falcon at this point. But did pick up those Silk Webs, which will be nice for Zeromus. Be able to make a free counter nuke to nerf Zeromus' Big Bangs. And even though they'll probably be doing Berserker strats, it's kind of nice just to have the Silk Web in case you need to cast some lengthy magic.
So I guess that is going to be the end of their shopping trip. They're just going to head straight down to the subterranean and prompt the most important question of the night. Whose butt will we be kicking?
Yes, instead of randomizing Zeromus himself in this placement, we randomize which sprite it is that we're going to fight in order to save the world. Do you have any favorites, Upton?
You know, there was one that I saw in one of my seeds that I personally loved, where Zeromus was Zeromus, the number 0.
Nice. Zeromus is an excellent pun. I'm I'm sure Bakashinobi is proud and happy wherever he is thinking about it. And of course, with the release of 4.0, Scala Kitty has added a number of new Zeromus sprites to the pool. I think I've seen no more than 5. I would love to expand the number that I've seen.
But as Slippery is making this trek, we saw DemonRHK finding the Magus Sisters and bailing out. Magus Sisters had the Baron key, if I recall correctly. Or did they have the tower key?
They had the tower key. I think Baron key.
They had the
was
tower.
Given,
okay.
I think the Baron key was given here at Zot.
Okay, so this is not a tragedy.
Nope, it can save them from the potential check that they wouldn't have to make, because as soon as they get, they finish this check and then get the Baron key and hopefully pop right into Baron and get the Tele, then they will also have all the knowledge that they need and just need the levels to defeat that evil no broke Albion Cave Bahamut.
Bang Pie brings it up. There is an Xmas, which is Santa Claus. I think I've even had that in a seed in the past. Had a number of RPG final bosses that I did not recognize whatsoever. So that's kind of my expectation on these.
Yes, I'm glad Chad is always here to help us out, and Scala is usually in chat also to help us out and tell us where she's pulled these wonderful sprites from. Yes, there's Scala pulling out the popcorn, waiting to see what wonderful work of hers we get to fight tonight as DemonRHK finds their goal bed.
Again, this is the vanilla final party, which you do not see very often.
No, it is kind of fun to get to see this. I'm not sure how anyone's agility is. I did not actually pay attention to what level Rosa was or whether or not Slippery has put on maybe a ninja hat that we saw picked up earlier. So this could be interesting.
Yeah, they're not exactly over-leveled for this party at this point. Not in a terrible state, so this should be a perfectly doable fight, but not so over-leveled that you're just holding A at this point.
Yeah, although Crystal Sword Cecil does have a lot of HP, and all you need is Rosa and him in order to solo this. Oh, I think we need to exterminate this boss.
Exterminate indeed.
Good old Dalekness from Doctor Who, some Doctor Who property. Scala, where is this from exactly?
Just something Doctor Who. There's been so many games, so many movies, so many seasons of the show. God, there's Doctor Who everywhere. I would say this looks semi-modern, not necessarily newest series, but not the vintage.
Yeah, Scala says she thinks it is from a PC game, but it was a pretty early sprite, so she doesn't remember. Not surprising given the multitude of sprites she's done, probably close to 300 or more. I know she took over from Borg at some point, and we have over 400 sprites currently.
That was a pretty soundly nerfed Big Bang.
And a very unsoundly nerfed Crystal Sword.
It's a bit of damage.
We will be reducing this Dalekness to just a blob of timey-wimey stuff that no longer coheres to anything. Good job, back row Kane, chipping in for 900.
Yeah. Kane with the White Lance, the ultimate weapon, not even hitting 1,000. So it goes.
And DemonRHK is through their gold les fight, finds 2 white mages in the tower. Assume we'll be kicking one of them, probably Rosa. Says goodbye to Rydia. Says goodbye to Cure Kid. Meanwhile, Rosa for slippery42 is bouncing whites off of Rydia's reflected face, and Edge is darting spoons, it looks like, at this point.
And there are the flashes.
Yes, there is a crack, a boom, a flashing, disappearing Dalek miss. And slippery42 is your winner with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 36 seconds. slippery42 moves to 2-1 in the Fabul Gauntlet. And we will see if we can get them in for an interview. And here we have slippery42. GG's on your run.
Thanks. Just wish there was a sonic screwdriver weapon for Sid.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been a great engineering weapon for him. I think Cecil had a sonic crystal sword, though.
Oh, he sure did, yeah. That, like, man, that seed really stacked Cecil. I think I had, like, bandana or headband, a power suit, strength ring, crystal sword. Can't ask for anything more.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, when you're swinging for 7K, it's hard to be picky.
Yeah, for sure.
So that Elements fight getting down to the underground, that was a little bit of a bottleneck, all told.
Yeah, I think that was really the only tricky part of the seed. They didn't really give me a white mage until pretty late, and so I couldn't really keep up with the Rubicante phases, like massive amounts of nukes. So the second time through, I threw a silk web, and that slowed him down enough that I could that Sid could get in a shot with that rune axe and knock him into Kenazo.
Yeah, that was definitely key. That and Edge getting the Throne of the Drain Spear too. The 4,000 between the two of them really powered you through that phase. Yeah, how did it feel going up to the moon with no white mages at all, having cleared pretty much the entire Underworld and Overworld?
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking. I mean, I don't think I even had like an Ashura summon or a Sylph summon for Rydia, so I had basically no healing. So I was basically hoping that I'd find some free bosses there to get me, well, 1, levels, and 2, the key items to hopefully pick up more party members. But thankfully, what it gave me was doable.
Yeah,
And, the team itself was pretty beefy, so they could take some hits.
I think we did see the self-summon in the Baron item shop, but yeah, neither you nor Demon actually grabbed it if it was there, so you were both running in pretty tight conditions.
Yeah, so was the pass on Rat Tail?
That's a question. Good question. I haven't seen it come up in the spoiler log that's going on right now, and we haven't seen DemonRHK pick it up, so we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I realized because I did so many optional bosses through that seed. I was like, I've got to have the pass, so I ran up to Troya. Oh, maybe I don't.
Yeah, we were wondering whether or not you were doing some extra shopping and saw you pick up the silk web, so maybe that you
that
did
was...
that, and then you went to go and try and turn in a pass you didn't quite have.
Right, that was the other thing. I was looking around for silk webs. I'd forgotten which shop had them, and luckily it was on the one that would ordinarily be conveniently located right before the Z fight, but needed to take a little bit of an extra hike.
Yeah, and you made good use of that purchase of Leviathan summon. Was that also why you didn't pick up the Quake Kid as he tried to show up in your party in Dwarf Castle?
Yeah. So I knew like Leviathan was great once I had it, and Rydia was pretty much dead weight up until that point. But yeah, that really turned her around, and she also had I don't know, about 10 more levels. I know there's a slingshot effect that would make it all of like 1 or 2 grind fights to get Palom caught up, but yeah, it was figured Rydia was good enough to not have to save like a minute or two for the grind.
Yeah, and since you didn't have to really grind after doing Ogo Pogo at that very rude spot, and Rydia getting nuked there, that definitely was a good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How did you feel when you saw Ogo Pogo hiding at Bahamut's spot?
I felt like, yeah, this is the last thing I'm gonna do this seed.
Yep. That was our expectation the moment we saw that. So this is what you hold off to the very end. And just hope that other objectives aren't somehow hiding behind it.
Right. Yeah, that was in the back of my head. I was also worried for a little while on where Tello was before I think he popped up at where was it, like Baron or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And I was like, oh no, it's either here or Giant. And I don't want to have to do Giant. So got lucky there.
Yeah, Giant would have been pretty rude, although at that point you had your Rosa, so it wouldn't have been too bad. Would have gotten all the levels there.
But yeah, all things considered, a seed with a really easy early game and a really easy end game, and a mid game that basically made me work way outside my comfort zone. Yeah, I'm used to having that utility that white mages provide, between Berserk, Blink, and Keels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, as this moves you to 2-1 and moves you closer to qualifying for at least the play-in round for the brackets, that sort of practice is going to be very good for you as we move towards having distinct 7 characters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, one of these days I'll start practicing for that.
Yeah, how are you feeling about your performance in the Gauntlet just overall so far, having now a winning record and all?
I think this match and my first match I was really happy with. Last week's match that that wasn't restreamed, I made a bit of a whopper of a blunder, doing a D machine grind and then resetting before saving, which I think I guess might be karma, because I think my opponent in the first round did the exact same thing.
That is painful. Yeah.
I think looking back on it, I still would have lost, but it would have been by like within 5 minutes instead of about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that hurts, but I imagine you won't do that one again.
Oh yeah, if you saw me make a lot of unnecessary saves and pop in and out of town just to make sure that's why.
Yeah, very few saves are actually unnecessary because you just never know.
Right. Like so much of this game is like muscle memory. Once you've played it enough that sometimes you just forget things.
Yeah, and one thing you skipped out on by not getting that cane at the package was a wyvern.
Oh really? Yeah, that's where he was hiding.
Yep.
Ooh, that's a pretty rude spot for him too. I mean, like, despite the fact that you could probably one-shot him, if he gets that mega nuke off.
Yeah, it was still early enough that you might not really one-shot him, and it definitely did over 1,000 points of damage to the people that Demon did not get a Star Veil up on. So do you have any other final thoughts on the seed or things in general with the tournament?
Not really. Just having a good time so far, and I'm looking forward to the next round.
Well, excellent. Congratulations on your first place win and moving to 2-1. You'll definitely be someone to look out for in that round.
Thanks a lot, and have a good rest of the stream.
Thank you. Have a great night. And that was slippery42, our winner of this race. And while we were interviewing Slippery, DemonRHK did finish their Zot play, as well as go through and get Tella and Baron, and is now just grinding up on eggs in order to get the levels required to get through Ogopogo.
Yep, gonna run through this one last siren. At this point, with this being a 1v1, you know that you're gonna take the loss this week. You might as well grind up, play a little safer so you don't have to, return to those fights. Like we were saying, you can have some moments that are just a little more aggressive, a little ruder than you want them to be.
Yeah, and I know anytime I'm on a restream, I wouldn't necessarily want to go too early and make what I would feel as a fool of myself, even though no one's ever foolish for when they go to Zeromus. Because if I were playing this not restreamed, I would think about going early just to kind of practice lower level Zeromus strats, because we haven't gotten the chance to practice them that often lately.
Yeah, that sort of stuff gets a bit seed dependent, especially with this objective system that we have going on, where you have to be high level just to handle Gate Bahamut,
Yeah, and we're often doing 15, 16, 17 key item checks in order to go through everything. So you're just by nature of some of your routing, you might get to very high levels where you don't need any more grinding. And then when we get to a point where you have a seed where you finish it early and are like, oh goodness, what am I going to do to get all the levels I need?
Yeah.
Because I don't have Edward.
Everyone likes to diss on the Bard. He's so useful for low-level Z-strats.
He's useful for a lot of strats. Getting rid of Pain Man very quickly, where he just kind of ducks out and doesn't worry about it. Reducing your character count in a full party when you have Golbez, so you have one less character being eaten by the Shadow Dragon, and therefore can bring him back out in time. And doing Odin strats, able to get that Thunderstruck on the third sword raise.
But for now, with this party, our strats are just hit things as hard as possible, and we've got the people to do it.
Yes, we have the means and the opportunity here, and the motive really, just to clear the seed and hit things very, very hard with a crystal sword.
Well, it seems like Ogopogo is fully aware of which character is the white mage and just focus firing on Rosa.
The game knows.
The game knows.
I was watching a runner play the other night, and Evil Wall was the enemy they were fighting, and Evil Wall continued to hit each person who had an action queued up in order, so that the party wiped. It was very, very rude.
Now, looks like DemonRHK is going to handle this pretty well. Those Cure 4s take care of certainly a single big wave and pretty much cleared out the double.
Yep, and this spot isn't terribly fast, so with a Kane in the middle, Ogopogo wasn't getting that many turns. Kane might actually have been faster, but there's our fifth objective. Here will be a crystal for DemonRHK and a march down to Zeromus, where they will try to exterminate the Dalekmas. While we have a little bit of lull in the action, want to make sure to give a shout out to Max Frost, our restreamer, who's doing an excellent job on their first restream, as well as Crimson Avix, who's doing a great job keeping up with all the items and the button click.
And as I always like to remind folks, if you like the runs you're seeing, if you appreciate these folks putting themselves out there to be restreamed, always recommend giving them a follow. They'll be doing many more races, well, at least for the next 2 weeks. But a lot of our participants here play this frequently on their own.
And many of our runners are very good at commentating their own runs too, so that you can get a good idea of what's going on in their brains as they're playing. And also just often enjoy chatting with people as they're playing the game. And of course, if you have enjoyed what you've been seeing and are interested in starting to play Free Enterprise, feel free to come in and visit our Discord. We're a very friendly, welcoming group of people who are happy to help you learn the game in any way that is necessary or helpful for you. There's a lot of guides and strategy tips available in both the guides resources section and in our newbies corner. And there are async races as well as synchronous races going on fairly frequently. Right now we're taking a bit of a break from our community races as we do this Fabul Gauntlet tournament. It kind of takes up most of the admin time and the restream team's time in general. But when the tournament is over and we're back to those, we'll have some varied flag sets. Some of them more like this one, where they're kind of tournament oriented, and some of them just a lot of fun. We get to play with overpowered characters or items that you wouldn't see as much.
And I would say this is one of the randomizers that is pretty easy to learn. I will fully confess I still haven't played Final Fantasy IV Vanilla. I've only ever played the randomizer, but you watch enough runs, you fiddle with it, you go through the resources, you can understand the game pretty well.
Yeah, there's, I think, one bit of tech that is frame perfect dependent, and it's one that's almost never turned on anyway. So it's very much a knowledge-based rather than a reaction-based game.
Yeah.
So pretty easy to pick up.
Of course, that means I have basically no idea what the story is on any of this, but that's not really useful in the randomizer. I mean, things happen. Things happen. Cecil is around most of them. That's all I know.
Things happen. Kane betrays you. Sid blows himself up a few times. Yang punches things.
This just sounds like any randomizer seed that I've done. That's how it goes.
Scala has a request for you, Hupfen, in chat.
My best guess of the story is that Cecil is a bad pain man, and then Kane is another pain man. Slip one letter off. And then Kane betrays Pain, and so Pain becomes Paladin. And other folks help along the way. And also there's a bard that does not get enough respect. Also, thank you for the bits, Bacon Pie. Oh, and eventually they start a moon program. They start a space program. They start NASA in this game, is what they do. They start magical NASA.
Yes, NASA from the sea.
That's what the S stands for.
Of course. What else could it be?
But anyway, this Zeromus fight should be very easy to understand. DemonRHK is just gonna balk us up and hit as hard as possible, over and over.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter how fast Zeromus is with these melee characters at these levels and a soap bug coming out. This is really not going to be too much of a problem. Zeromus not taking kindly to Cecil wielding a crystal sword, but Cecil doesn't care too much.
No, and that should be a sufficiently nerfed Big Bang that Cecil will survive. Yeah, Rosa can just heal that through and we're good from here.
Yeah, we very likely do not see another Big Bang with this party at these levels.
Yeah, might not even see a Meteo.
No, DemonRHK's party is going to chew through all the HP here. Won't get any refill skips. Going to go through the full 100,000 or so that Zeromus has when you do all direct damage to him. But going to go very, very fast. I don't know about you, Humpin, but it always feels good to just kind of cruise through one of these fights, not have to worry about it, and just watch the numbers fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of get a mental odometer where each damage is like miles and just see, kind of watch the spinning numbers go by.
It's like going on a road trip and just watching the numbers, and all of a sudden you're, 70 miles from where you were. It's like, wait a second, how long have I been? That's not safe driving. That's just not.
No, not so much, but can be fun, maybe.
I mean, it's better than a winding mountain road in the storm. I don't know what I'm talking about, actually.
I mean, it sounds like a really fun road trip. There's one Big Bang. Here's one Meteo. Zeromus is just about dead. Cecil and Rosa, who are Pain Man and Sailor Moon in this case, dodge the rock.
And that's the flash. That does it for DemonRHK. Coming in with the official time of 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 52 seconds. Get your GGs in chat.
Yeah, GG's to DemonRHK. It looks like we have them available for an interview. I'll pull them in very. And we are now joined by DemonRHK. GG's on your win, on your well-run race.
No problem. Thanks a lot, guys.
So, how did you like that seed with no white mages for an awful long time?
Oh, that was so painful. I mean, I'm like, one of the two's got to show up, right? And I see the second cane, and I'm like, okay, so there's only one of each. I'll find one eventually. And just worst case scenario, both of them being gated behind the Earth Crystal. Although, to be fair, probably could have got it pretty early with that spot being Cabrera, but eh.
I mean, that's the sort of thing you're not going to know until you go investigate, and doing that early on would have been a really dangerous play.
It would have been, but I'd already dove to see what was at the Bahamut spot since it was an objective anyway, so I was already halfway there.
Yeah, it definitely would have been interesting. I'm not sure you would have been able to actually take that fight at the levels that you were first on the moon. But definitely would have given you knowledge that you could have gone there pretty quickly.
Yeah, it just wasn't a very nice seed. I mean, the required hook and then just getting absolutely butt pounded by Rubicante during that Elements fight repeatedly.
That was so brutal. We did not expect it to be as rude as it wound up being.
Yeah, that flurry of fire magic is awfully hard to deal with at that spot.
It didn't help when my 5-head play of putting a Berserked Drain Spear Kane up against Mylon. That was great.
Yeah, that's an easy mistake to make when you're just kind of trying to push through and not thinking it through all the way.
Yeah, but you've learned now and won't do that one again.
Yeah, exactly. No, overall, I've got to say, even without the white mages, it made it a fun seed because you're on the back foot playing, okay, pretty much every fight's now a DPS race all the way through. And I got a crutch early in Sid, that was the starter, so I didn't have to worry about the super early fights and just had to worry about that mid game.
Yeah, that definitely helped you get over the initial fights and not have to think too hard. But yeah, that Rubicante form of elements just did a number to both of you. Slippery got through a little bit faster. I had noticed that you had the curse ring on Sid, and Sid's rune axe would have done a little bit more damage to Rubicante there. That's one of the things that helped Slippery get through there a little bit faster than you.
Yeah, agility anchoring still a little on the Greek side to me, so I kind of just drop somebody as low as I can and kind of pray for the best.
Yeah, understandable. It's a bit of an it's a bit of a wibbly wobbly thing, we'll say.
Exactly. I kind of just a little bit of bad execution, and that's just in the way that I play. I mean, they need to clean that up. I mean, between the Rubicante part of that fight and poor execution and just movement overall, and my gamble on going Sylph Cave to Sheila instead of going Tower first, which of course had the pay.
Yeah, although you didn't hold off the tower as long as Slippery did, they did pretty much everything else first, so you gained back a little bit there. And honestly, overall, your route was not that bad.
No, not at all. And I liked the gamble for trying to be able to go through that Octomam. Would have probably been successful if you had a white mage to cast either Blink or just to do some healing to kind of get through those first few punches.
Yeah, if I'd have bought a few more illusions when I had the chance, I think they were in one of the shops. Maybe I had a shot, but I'm like, I'll take the Octoman fight, see what happens. Get punched in the face for 2,000. Nope, come right back. Okay, let's try to Kenazo, get punched in the face for 3,000. No.
Yeah, those Fame March bosses hit hard.
I initially had a thought where I was going to take a complete just gamble and try to take Ogopogo the first time I went to the moon, just because, Big Wave's all percentage based. But at that point, still no white mage. If I would have had a weapon that would have buffed healing on Cecil, maybe I would have tried it, because Cure 2 might have been enough at that low hit point.
It might have, but the Ogopogo also punches you, and the Bahamut spot has a pretty high amount of physical damage also. So I'm not sure you would have actually been able to pull that off. It would have been very awesome if you could have, though.
What's a 20-minute fight?
I mean, hey, it's those brave and risky plays that sort of thing can pay out huge in randomizers. So I applaud the spirit and the desire to push for those.
Yeah, the only real questionable decision, which I'm going to have to go back and see if I stand by, was after getting that second white spear, opting to go back to the tower and grab the second cane. I mean, I was 50-50 on taking him the first time, but then I got the second white spear, and there's no way I could have passed that up afterward.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable move. And ultimately ditching Rydia for Rosa, and again, perfectly understandable play.
Yeah, I took she was named Bahamut Bot for a reason, and took the gamble. I'm like, let's see what we go get at Mount Hobbs. Oh, look, Odin, who only works against a handful of things. What a shock. So
Yeah.
At that point, she's just crutch until I can find a white mage at the end of the seed, so I can just quad Zerker. I mean, at that point, he'd already got done, so I just quad Zerker, bust to the rest of my Sirens to get to a reasonable hit point number, and then just AFK through the Zeromus fight.
Yeah, definitely a good strategy with that, with the characters you chose to keep. And overall, I think they're good choices. It's hard to turn down someone with one of their very best weapons, especially when it's an end game. One of your final party members, and normally in the end game with an end game quality weapon. So at 1 and 2, how are you feeling about your tournament life? You still definitely have a chance at getting 2, 3, and 2 and getting that play in.
It's not a big deal. I mean, when it comes to playing free enterprise, I'm mostly in it to have fun. I mean, if I make 3 and 2 and have at least a shot of playing another round, just playing another game, that's my end goal here. I know I'm not going to win. I'm in it just to have fun and see what kind of fresh heck the seeds deal.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have. I definitely came into it expecting to go 1 and 3, or 1 and 4, or 2 and 3 also, and just am here to have fun.
But no, definitely GG to Slippery on that win. It was not an easy seed to route efficiently and play through, but it was a whole thing. And thank you guys very much for commentating, restreaming, and tracking as well. It was a great night.
Yeah, thank you for putting on a show. Do you have any other questions, Hupfin, for him?
No, I'm good.
And any other thoughts from you, Demon?
Nope, just hope to see another good match in the next round, maybe something a little close as well.
Indeed, these races have all been so good, and I love this objective system for writing a lot of drama and mostly very close races.
All right, so with that, I guess it's about time we wrap things up here. And Tadale, any last things you want to add, or what have you?
Just that I very much enjoyed this race and commentating with you, Hupfin. It's been a blast, and thank you both to our runners and to the restream team for helping put on this great show. This has been wonderful. I think we're determining whether or not we're going to be rating here, or whether we're just going to be signing off.
All right, sounds like we're gonna go visit Fred Coughlin. So send y'all over to him. Another community just overall, and we'll see y'all really tomorrow here on RPG Limit Break. We've been doing a lot of the runs on these two channels. So, worth following either of those, and worth coming back and seeing some more of the Fabul Gauntlet.